a little bit of catching up to do before we get into today's episode. We drew with Stoke 2-2, bit of a mammoth game. Balotelli scoring in the 84th minute, thinking it was all done and dusted, but Jason Cummings comes to our rescue in the 90th minute to rescue us a draw at home to Stoke. And then we polished off Gillingham in the third round replay, 5-2. As you can see here, much changed squad. As you can see there, Zach Clough, Maddison, Max Clayton, Forrester, people that haven't been playing, got a game against Gillingham. 5 different scorers, so all well and good. So that puts us into the fourth round against Bury away from home. Today though, second half of the transfer window, Leicester, West Ham and West Brom, and also any transfer dealings as well. Roll the titles. We're getting straight into it today. Leicester away from home at the King Power Stadium, and this is our lineup. Joe Wildsmith in goal, Kavanagh, Baldwin, Holding, and Jordan Williams comes in for Andre Wisdom, still not 100% fit. Forrester and Anderson in the middle, Lookman, Teixeira and Leo de Silva Lopez on the right hand side, and Dwight Gale up top. Leicester then come in with Kasper Schmeichel in goal, Robert Huth and Wes Morgan back as a central defending partnership. Mark Albrighton on the right hand side, Danny Drinkwater in the middle, as long with Musa on the left. Vardy up there with Zapata. Don't see Mahrez in their squad at all, so probably gone to pastures new. So let's get into the game straight away. You want to see, not the best team talk, I was looking for something else there. Need to concentrate just a little bit more. Hopefully that doesn't scupper us too much in this game. 4-2-3-1 I think is the right mentality to go into in this game. We're now only 7 points off the relegation zone, so it's going to be touch and go. Dwight Gale has been injured, gash to the head. Is he going to be able to carry on? Let's see how he gets on in the first half, and we'll go from there. Win today, and we close the gap on Leicester. Leicester on the 8th of 34, but Albrighton with a free kick. Going to try and find Huth in the goal. It hits Huth, hits one of our defenders, and then hits the post. Very fortunate there from Leicester, but it stays out for us, which is great to see. I might have to bring Dwight Gale off at half time. He is seeming to be struggling. He's only on a 6.5 for the game as well. Baldwin, great header above from Zapata. Dwight Gale takes it down and got Fernando in on him, but he gets the ball away from him. Albrighton on the right hand side now, trying to launch it up to Zapata, but Baldwin again covers that very nicely. Going to play it all the way back to Wildsmith. This is in the extra time or injury time of the first half. Hopefully it doesn't go against us. Forrester, lovely play there, but Wildsmith just launched the ball up. Albrighton on this right hand side again. Going to try and find Zapata again. Knocks it onto Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy makes it 1-0 to Leicester. Coming on the stroke of half time against the run of play in my opinion. We've had 9 shots compared to their 4. We've had a lot more possession, a lot more of the ball, and they've just route won the ball. Zapata's got a flick on, and Jamie Vardy is there to score the goal. Here we go again. Albrighton up to Zapata's. Vardy gets there ahead of Holding and slots it past Wildsmith. Awful defending, awful goal. And it comes against the run of play. Going to bring Dwight Gale off straight away. Going to bring Jason Cummings on. Hopefully that will give us a little bit of a better presence up top. Forrester might come off for Llorente because he's struggling as well. And the second half, I'd need to see something different from them because we've dominated the game, as you can see here on the stats, but just not producing at all. As always, might knock it down to standard, which is always our go-to move because that generally gets us back into the game. Anderson taking on 2 midfielders there, but nothing coming from it. Fernando now up to Zapata. Baldwin's going to get there ahead of him. Going to try and play the ball back to Holding, but Vardy's there again. Vardy, just wide. We're putting ourselves into trouble. We're going to knock it down to standard. Hopefully we can get back into this game. Baldwin again is struggling, 60%. Right, an hour gone. We have dominated this game. We deserve to get something from it. Montoya up to Slimani now. Morgan gets that ball over to Andy King. Huth again. Huth and Morgan back in the central partnership roles. Damari Gray on this right-hand side. Over to Montoya again, but Kavanagh, that's a great tackle on Montoya. Going to try and hopefully launch a counter-attack. But we're nice and patient. Llorente into Maddison. And then Maddison's going to take on Damari Gray. You aren't going to beat him with pace, but he keeps hold of the ball. Teixeira, lovely ball, takes it away from Andy King there, into Anderson, into Teixeira again, back to Cummins, through to João Teixeira, one-on-one with Schmeichel, but Schmeichel is big and maintains that 1-0 lead for Leicester. Schmeichel with a goal kick, up to Vardy. He beats Boulding in the air, but Musa is in there, and Vardy makes it 2-0 to Leicester. There was a lot of disruption in the defence there. Baldwin tried to win the header, didn't win the header, and Vardy's punished us from 18 yards. Musa holding there, getting stuck under his feet, back to Slimani. Vardy there, about 18 yards out, and he just absolutely pummels it. Joe Wildsmith should have done a lot better there. Not happy with his performance at all. We're 2-0 down. Maddison now, 8 minutes to go. Into Baldwin. Baldwin brings it back to 2-1. Lifeline for the boys. I'm going to knock it up to attacking now. Hopefully we can get something from it. We deserve something from it. I think that will be it. It's going to be Leicester City 2, Peterborough United 1. And our bad form continues. In the league, 4 games since we last won, and that was that win against Arsenal at home. We go up against West Ham now at home, and then West Brom away at the Hawthorns. We have our first transfer news of the window. Tom Nichols is going to go on loan to Motherwell. They're paying a little bit of his wage, and there is an optional future fee of £500,000 there. He was out for about 9 months with a massive cruciate ligament damage, and it's literally just wiped away his ability, his potential, and his current ability. Now down to 2 stars in the Premier League, which just isn't good enough. I need him out the door as quickly as I can. So Tom Nichols is away from the club to Motherwell on loan. John Flatt is now a Everton player. He left us for £61,000. Again, he wanted to move. He wasn't getting first team football, so he has also left the club, and he's gone to Everton for £61,000 as well. So 2 bits of transfer news for you. Tom Nichols is now a Motherwell player, and Jonathan Flatt is now an Everton player. Second game of the episode, West Ham at home at London Road. Slight tweak in the personnel that are coming into this game. Wildsmith stays in goal. Kavanagh, Baldwin, but Reece Burke comes in because Rob Holding made a few mistakes in that previous game, and he's the same kind of role ability there as well. Wisdom comes back into the squad after his injury. Llorente is going to come in for Chris Forrester, and Jermaine Anderson keeps his place. Maddison comes in for Lookman, Teixeira and Clayton comes in for Leo, and Jason Cummings comes in for Dwight Gale, who just isn't fit enough to play this game. So Zach Clough finds himself on the bench. Peterborough versus West Ham. Let's get straight into the action. So we're playing another team just above us in the league. They're 8th in the league, so Leicester beat us and jumped over West Ham in the league, and so we're playing another team that are kind of in and around us, but I'd love a win here just to close that gap between kind of us and the top 10 and get further away from the relegation zone. But Jermaine Anderson, what injuries he got? Potential foot injury. Not the best way to start the game. Going to bring Chrissy Forrester on. He can play that box-to-box midfielder role. And just going to switch him and Llorente round. But yeah, let's hopefully, fingers crossed, that's not a massive blow for us it's not a massive blow for us for Jermaine Anderson having an injury, foot injury. So it could be Achilles, it could be a broken foot, it could be a number of things. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not too bad. But Teixeira picks it up and he's got Cummings in front of him. Cummings and Teixeira, our boys from the Championship who ripped the league up. Llorente now through to João, and he makes it 1-0 to the Posh. 5 minutes before half time. As I said, Llorente, João and Cummings were our 2 boys. The lovely little partnership in the Championship that brought us up into the Premier League. And Cummings and João again with the inclusion of Llorente as well. Lovely ball through from Llorente, and that's one first time shot there from João Teixeira, and he makes it 1-0 to the Posh 5 minutes before half time. And that's half time. Other than the potentially horrific news on Jermaine Anderson being injured, we've actually looked quite lively. Marcus Maddison on a 6.3, Clayton on a 6.5. Probably the only 2 that I'm really questioning possibly what we need to do, and Jack Baldwin's conditioning as well. But let's see if we can play well, but there is plenty to improve. Let's see if we can get straight back out there and do the business. Lingard scored for West Ham. It was the opening highlight. Wasn't commentating at all. Lovely build-up play from West Ham. Let's quickly rewind all of that back. So it starts with Ayala at the back. Plays it into Hughes. Hughes into Lanzini. Lanzini into Cleary. Cleary now into Lanzini. Acres of space. Pushes out to Faguli. Faguli just chips the ball up to Jesse Lingard and he heads it back the same way that it came. And that's West Ham, that's Peterborough United 1, West Ham 1, just after half-time. Not the start we wanted at all. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We shouldn't be conceding straight after the half-time. So Feghouli now, as you see here, lofts it into the back. Jesse Lingard just heads it straight back over. Audacious leap from Joe Wildsmith to try and get something on it. Couldn't get there, and Jesse Lingard put them back into the game. Lanzini now, Hughes in acres of space on that left-hand side. Regini into Lingard again. Lingard, but great block by, I think it was Reece Burke there. Another West Ham chance. Lanzini launches it in, but Max Clayton gets it clear. Lanzini again tries to launch it in, but Joe Wildsmith, I'm going to knock that back down to standard. Hughes and Lanzini really dictating the play in that middle of the park. Kaleri now into Will Hughes, into Aubameyang, into Lanzini, but great save by Joe Wildsmith. It's all West Ham start to this second half, and it looks like something's just not happened with the boys at half time. I'm really going to say show some passion, because we're just not doing the business at the minute in the league. Hour gone. Those changes are just being made right now, and hopefully they spark us back into this game. Kavanagh now with a free kick, long way out, deflection on the wall, and that's 2-1 to the Posh. As I said, we needed a little bit of luck, a little bit of magic there, and Sean Kavanagh's first goal of the season, which is absolutely magnificent there. And Sean Kavanagh, from about 30 yards out, has a hit and hits Martin Noble. Sends the keeper the wrong way, and that's 2-1 to the Posh. Again, West Ham are going to keep coming. Noble now into Lanzini. Lanzini tries to play it around the corner, but it's a short back pass, and Kaleri's there, makes it 2-2. Chris Forrester makes it a short pass back into Wildsmith, and that is an horrendous. Again, we're not concentrating. Baldwin, it was Baldwin, not Forrester. What a back pass. Too short for Joe Wildsmith, and Kaleri's just there just to poke it in, and it's 2-2 now. Smith's going to start the game, and that is going to be it. Peterborough United 2, West Ham United 2. Roller coaster of a game. Again, we're drawing more games than we should be winning here. I'm not happy with the way we performed, because we should have really won that game from our first half performance. But it keeps us 11th, keeps us 7 points above the drop zone. Everton are kind of still in that kind of last place. I think Watford and Burnley are both gone, 14 points and 10 points after 23 games. It's really who out of the kind of bottom 6 or 7 that are really going to look to kind of have that final place there. But next up, West Brom away from home. Let's see how Jermaine Anderson is injured. Sprained ankle, so not too bad. He's out for 4 weeks. So the third and final game before the end of the transfer window, and the team looks like this. Wildsmith in goal, Kavanagh, Baldwin, Burke remains in the team. Williams at right back because Andre Wisdom is suspended. Llorente is the deep line playmaker, and Forrest as the box-to-box. Maddison on the left, De Silva Lopez on the right, Teixeira in the middle, and Dwight Gale comes back in for this very, very important game against West Brom at the Hawthorns. Let's get straight into it. Phillips now on this right-hand side into George Thorne, over to Nasser Chadli. Nasser Chadli does Jordan Williams, and Rondon hits the post. Nasser Chadli absolutely did Jordan Williams on that right back spot. Passed it straight into Salomon Rondon, and Rondon absolutely battered the ball, but it came straight back off the post. Chadli now with the ball again into the bottom right hand corner, and that's 1-0 to West Brom. Wow, what a start by the Baggies, and they have leapfrogged us in the league now. Our bad run of form continues. Don't know whether it's fatigue, whether it's just we're all out of form, whether it's just the sheer amount of games that we've had to play in the short space of time. I'm not quite sure. Injuries and suspensions haven't helped either, and that's West Brom 1, Peterborough United 0, and we haven't really kicked into this game at all. Going to knock it down to standard. Kavanagh now, before that change is made, over to Llorente, back to Kavanagh. Kavanagh's coming inside, finds Chris Forrester. Chris Forrester's trying to find Leo on this right-hand side, but he's marked very tightly. Going to whip it in. Tries to find Dwight Gale, but Areola's there to fend off any attack. And he's going to launch the ball up now just to keep the highlight running. Baldwin beats Rondon in the air. Bernardo now into Chadli. Chadli into Rondon. Rondon straight out to Diallo. But Williams, great tackle from him, but he just launches it forward. No composure there. Chadli into George Thorne. George Thorne can hit them. He can hit them, but he pushes it through to Phillips. Matty Phillips hits the crossbar. Matty Phillips is on the transfer list for them. Chadli now, absolute mad scramble. 4 or 5 players there trying to get the ball away for us, and that change has now been made. We've gone back down to standard. Teixeira, 20 yards out. tries to find a ball, but goes back to Williams, into Maddison, into Teixeira, straight out to Jordan. Jordan is going to try and find a ball in, but doesn't. Gets the ball nicked off him from Nasser Chadli, and now Ravel Morrison's trying to launch it forward, but Chris Forrest has brought him down. Generally, that is a red card, and there we go. Goes from bad to worse. We are now down to 10 men, 1-0 down after 25 minutes, but we've gone down to the 4-2-1-2-1 formation, and hopefully we get something from the game there. Baldwin launching it out to Marcus Maddison. Dawson Daddy's on the ball. Maddison is away. He tries to have a pot from distance, and that is absolutely atrocious. We are still 7 points off for safety, but we seem to be plummeting down the league. Our great form in the early to mid part of the season seems to be fading for us. We haven't been unlucky. You need to show me something else in the second half, because it's just not been good enough. Hopefully we can find a way back into it. St. Maximin going to drive the ball in from a corner, but Williams there doesn't beat the first man. Gets the ball back from the Williams header out. Going to try and find Borges in the midfield. Hits the shot from 20 yards out, and Borges scores the second goal for the Baggies. And that's 2-0 now to West Brom. And a winless run continues. Awful defending here. Gave him far too much time and space. As you can see, no one really closing him down. Borges there hits a shot from 20 yards out. Absolute daisy cutter. Joe Wildsmith couldn't really do anything with it, and that's 2-0. Looks like we're going to lose yet another game. And that's it. West Brom 2, Peterborough United 0. And January hasn't been our best of friends. We've lost 1, 2, 3. We've lost 4 games in the Premier League. We've drawn a couple, and we've won in the FA Cup. But hopefully, this next run of games where we really did take off at the start of the season here, so Watford, Southampton, Liverpool, we're on a bit of an unbeaten run. All we need now is 11 points. 11 points for safety, and then that'll hit the 40-point mark as what we've got. But coming up next is the transfer deadline day. Hopefully we can move on a few people, get someone in possibly, just to spark us into life again. It is transfer deadline day. We are going to take part in the deadline day and see exactly who we can pick up, if we need to pick up anybody in the coming couple of hours of the window. And there we go. In a matter of seconds, two transfers to tick off the list. So Matthew Pennington is going out to Coventry on loan, and he's optional future fee of £450,000 if he does do well. And Conor O'Hurahan is coming in for a massive £7 million move with fees and stuff like that. And he's got a minimum release fee of 10.25 million if anybody from the Champions League comes in for him. But accepting that, he is in the squad, he's in the van, as they say. Someone coming in for Marcus Maddison at the minute, I'm going to reject that for now, just because we need him, because Bakary Saka is still on international duty with Mali in the African Cup of Nations. And since he's been away, our form has dipped dramatically. So maybe he is the catalyst that makes us play it really, really well. And Thiago Ilori is coming in on loan just to cover us on that centre back role. Great mentals, great physicals, really good in the technicals that we need him to. So heading, marking, and tackling all above 12, positioning 13 as well. So looks to be a really good fit for the side. We're going to accept that, and he's going to come in on loan with the potential. We can potentially sign him for 2.7 million if we wanted to at the end of the season. Hour to go in the transfer window. Let's see if we can sneak in another one or two players that are going to come in. Let's have a look at this man, Marco Matisse, looking for a wing on that right hand side. Looks like he could do a job for us, especially on loan. Let's just have a look at the scout report. On par with Leo on the right hand side. Can play on the left, and he can play in the centre as well, but I will be looking to play him on the right. Let's just see. So as a winger, decent crossing, decent dribbling, decent first touch, passing is not too bad, technique's good, work rate's good, physicals are decent enough. But is it someone that we definitely need? Likes the big matches, don't really care about his heading. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's accept. He's going to only come in at the end of the for the end of the season. Hour left. That's Moratis in the van as well. So that's it. Deadline day has passed. We have brought in Thiago Ilori on loan for the end of the season, just to cover the centre back roles, and we've brought in Marco Matisse as well as a right-sided winger, which I probably will start ahead of people like Max Clayton and Leo da Silva Lopez. It allows Leo now to go straight into the middle of the park, either to play as that deep line playmaker role or the box-to-box role. Let's see which one. Probably his deep line playmaker, he fits in a little bit better, but we'll do that off camera. But it allows him to go back into the centre of the park, which is where I really ideally see him playing anyway. And that's the end of the episode. It's been a terrible run of form, and we should be hopefully turning that run of form back on now. We're coming out of these hideous games that we played in January. We need 11 points, as I said, to hit that 40 point mark. Hopefully we can do that in the next kind of 3 to 4 games, and then it's plain sailing going forward. We are going to come back to the Liverpool and Norwich game. We're going to do Liverpool and Norwich next, but that's it for this episode. Please do leave the episode a like to show your support on the video and also the series as a whole. Subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss out on any more content going forward. If you are new to the channel, all it is just a little click on the sub button, and that makes the channel grow and become better and better and better. And until next time, Liverpool and Norwich, I'll see you soon.